Ben Jacobs with you as we continue to celebrate the 25th anniversary since our first Soccer X event. We've had lots of perspectives already, but none any better than my next guest, the co-founder of Soccer X, Rita Revie, and of course, founding this particular conference alongside her was her late husband, Duncan, who is sorely missed. Rita, great that you can join us, and you must be so excited to see Soccer X hit 25 years of events across 20 plus cities. It's quite astonishing how this conference has grown.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. When we started back in 95, if you were to ask me that same question, I would think 25 years on? No, definitely not. I didn't think we'd get this far. I wish my husband were here to actually experience the last few years particularly. And yeah, I mean, to get through the pandemic as we've done with an amazing team, to get through the last 25 years with all the fences we had to jump, you know, to become so global, because the word is global for Duncan. For Duncan, he wanted to make this company global, and that was always in his sight. And you know, I think to have done what we've done in 50 events in 20 countries is amazing, and I'm so proud to actually still be here and to call ourselves a global event. Really am.
You mentioned 1995, Rita, and obviously those doing their maths will realize that that's 26 years, and naturally that's because we're celebrating 25 years since our first event, but it needed about a year of planning to actually form Soccer X and so on.
Yeah.
So just tell me about the genesis of the idea and how you actually got that theoretical concept off the ground.
It was strange. Duncan's sister worked in the music business, and we attended an event with her in Manchester in 95, the very beginning of 1995. And during the evening, Duncan said, "Do you think they do this for the football business?" Because it was a very small event. It was a conference and a small exhibition. And that sort of sowed the seed, I think, for him to then come back to London. He then spent, I don't know, 3 or 4 months in research. He visited FIFA and all the confederations. He went to the States to see MLS, the English Football League, the Premier League, and many of the top clubs, just to suss out, is this something that the football world needed? So, having done all that, he came back and said, yeah, you know, I really feel we've got something here. But I think the turning point was, Ben, that was a day that we actually got confirmation from FIFA that they were very happy to endorse and participate in Soccer X going forward. I think that was the key moment when Duncan decided, and I decided, yes, we're going to go for this. So that was 95.
Do you have any memories of the first event in particular? What was that like?
Frightening, because we'd never done an exhibition or a conference in our life before. So we were frightened, stressed, worried that we would actually manage to get through this. And we did, proudly, I must say we did, having had no knowledge of this particular concept as in exhibitions and conferences. It was, we held it in the iconic old Wembley Stadium, which is obviously now being replaced. We had the full support from the people at Wembley as well, because they thought this is an amazing, fantastic idea. And I think to have held it there for our first event, being an English company and holding it in the iconic building, iconic stadium, was amazing. So we had a lot of exhibitors, we had a lot of delegates. And yes, it was a successful first year, surprisingly so for us. So yes, it was good first year.
You may not remember this one in terms of the genesis, but was there any debate over the name? Did you always fix upon Soccer X? Were there any other names you considered?
No, I think, well, football obviously is, you know, soccer is known as football in the UK, and it goes back to Duncan wanting this company to be global. So when we were talking about it, soccer is worldwide, whereas football, as you know, is very much Europhile. So that was the reason we went for Soccer X. We did look at Football X, but it just wasn't big enough for Duncan. He wanted it global, as I keep saying. And that was how we decided on the name. It didn't take us very long.
Casting then across the last 25 years of Soccer X events, tell me 2 or 3 of your favorite memories or stories from that time.
My God, then there's so many. It's so hard to think what to put forward. I have been thinking about that last night. I suppose the first one has to be what I've mentioned just now, is when FIFA actually endorsed Soccer X and said they would participate. And to be honest, have participated in most of the events that we've done over 25 years. So I think the day that we got in writing that they were very happy to do that was probably the biggest memory for us both, because we'll never forget that, because that was the turning point. So that's probably one big memory. The next one is very personal to me, because it was political to a certain extent. In '97, in our second year at Wembley, we invited John Major, the then Prime Minister, to come and attend the event. We surprisingly got an answer back to say yes, he would be very happy to do that. I think John Major was a big sports addict. I think cricket was his game, if I'm correct. I'm not quite sure if that is correct, but he loved football. So when we got the okay that he could come, we were obviously very excited. But for me personally, I'm a big fan of John Major, and I know he's known as Mr. Grey by the rest of the world. But on that day, he was far from grey. He arrived, he was extremely pleasant. He came with his wife, Norma. He had lunch with us. And I think at the table, I was trying to remember, we had Sepp Blatter, who at that stage was the General Secretary, because he didn't become president in '98. I think Jeff Powell, and I can't remember who else was at the table. It was a long time ago. But I managed to get to sit beside him, which for me was a big thrill. And I found him so engaging. And to be honest with you, the whole table were captivated by him. They only listened to him, which is amazing when you think, as a person, he's known as Mr. Grey, but as a person, he's far from it. So that for me was probably one of the biggest thrills of the last 25 years, was to meet him, have him with us for lunch. And then he actually walked around the exhibition. So he was, I think 2 days later, actually, he was out of government. I think that's when Tony Blair took over in '97. So we had him in his last few days as PM.
And of course, Duncan also would have been immensely proud of how Soccer X adapted to the pandemic, and at the same time being jubilant because he'd have been able to watch Leeds in the Premier League over the last 12 months or so.
Yes, Leeds, I think, was done from above. I'm sure him and his dad are both raising a glass at the moment to how well they've done over the last 2 years. And he'd have dealt with the pandemic. The digital side would definitely not have been his most interesting time in Soccer X, but he would have handed it over to the wonderful team that we have there now, who are all very digitally minded, and would have been extremely proud that we got through to the end of this year, actually, this last 12 months. Yeah.
Obviously, we miss Duncan deeply and continue to live on his legacy via Soccer X, but, and I know you're humble, you also need a huge amount of praise for driving this business from day one and continuing beyond 25 years. And I think that's really important, isn't it? Because you were one of the first female role models at a high end of a male-dominated business. How personally in the early 90s, and even potentially now, have you found that? And have you noticed an improvement in that equality within the business of football?
I think there's definitely been an improvement. Oh my God, especially over the last 10 years. In the early years, to be honest with you, personally, I've not really found a lot of chauvinism, for use of a better word. There's been the odd one where, people are a little bit negative when they see a woman in sport. It's very kind of you to say that I was very much part of it. Yes, I was and still am. But I think that this company worked for 3 reasons. Well, 2 reasons. Firstly, The team of Duncan and I worked very well. He was very much the front man, very much the ideas man and the creative man. I was very much the logistics person. As everybody in the company will say, I've probably driven all of them mad at various times during the last 25 years. But that made a very good team because we were one end of the spectrum to the other. And then added on top of that, we have had an extremely, well, we call it a family. Obviously, it's getting bigger now, but we started as a football family run by football people and with the love of football. So, you know, I think that was a huge plus at the beginning of our time with SoccerX. It meant that, you know, when we went to all these confederations and FIFA and MLS, etc., they knew they were dealing with football people, and that's held good stead. And I think that was the other reason. I'll put in the third. The third reason would probably be our staff, because without good staff, you do not have a good company. You do not have good events. And I can say from past staff and present, we are very, very lucky. The family that we built that has now become worldwide in 25 years, I'm very proud of. And that's not just me and Duncan, but the people that have been involved in the business.
I'm going to put you on the spot, Rita, because you've already said that one of your favourite guests was John Major, but what about looking forward? A SoccerX guest that we haven't had, you can pick anybody that you would like to have an event.
So easy, that one. It's so easy. And it's and probably most women, but it would definitely be David Beckham. There's no, I mean, you know, definitely David Beckham. I've always wanted to meet him. Our MD, Philip, has seen him and said in real life he's even more majestic than he is on the television. And that's from a man. So, you know, I really would like to have him at some stage. I think we will, because we've already approached him on different occasions. And he has said, yes, he will do it as soon as his timetable allows. So in the future.
Well, you never know. If we can get to Miami, and we've already had into Miami appear at previous SoccerX's, we might just be able to land him then. And that brings me nicely into my next question, which is about places. What's your favourite location that you've enjoyed the most throughout the last 25 years of SoccerX events?
I like them all for different reasons. I suppose, well, I loved being in South Africa because South Africa to me is a wonderful country. The people we met there were wonderful, and the job we did there was wonderful. So I have to mention there, but I suppose I have to say Rio de Janeiro, because what we actually achieved in Rio de Janeiro was a venue that we never thought we could ever build, in a place on an island that we never thought we could ever build anything on, with a bridge leading across from the HQ hotel. You know, one of the other memories of mine actually is the dinner we held on Sugarloaf Mountain, which again is iconic in Rio. That was probably one of the best nights. And I think if I asked all the staff and certainly all our clients who've been, was probably the best night we've ever had socially at SoccerX. The view, what we achieved up there, who we had up there. We had the 1970s team, Brazilian team, winning team for the World Cup, everybody except Pele. We had the lovely and late captain of the team, which was Carlos Alberto Torres. Many other icons in football, Neymar, Brian Robson was there from Man United. I think we had Ozzy Ardiles from Tottenham, Peter Reid, and then of course we had Eusebio, which of course was one of Duncan's absolutely favourite players and one of his heroes. So we had him there as well, which was an amazing achievement. So yeah, Rio, I suppose. I'd have to say Rio for what we've achieved at one event, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it seems to be a popular destination.
Yeah.
You touched upon the social side of SoccerX. Can you tell me a story throughout the last 25 years where you've just laughed, behind the scenes moment, something that's made you chuckle, less about those on the stage and the events and more about a personal interaction that's just put a smile on your face and shown how much you enjoy being a co-founder at SoccerX?
Oh, that's a really tough one. And oh gosh, I suppose the person who's given us most laughter is, strangely enough, our managing director, Philip Keegan. I'm not going to say, I can't say what happened and where, but I think he is probably the one that's given not just me, but the staff generally the biggest worries, laughs, and enjoyment. And I'm not going to say any more than that because that wouldn't be fair to Philip.
He did already allude to an embarrassing story in a video that he said might end up online. So maybe that's partially what you're thinking about.
So there's a few, Ben, that could end up online. So I'm really not sure which one he was talking about. But for me, there was very many times that we had good fun, and I hope that's going to continue into the next 25 years, because I feel that, as I said earlier, this company has been a family-run company, and now it's not anymore. It's now gone into open world out there. It's into the global, nations. But never forget that it's important for the staff of the company to A, get on, and B, have a good time, and the wrap-up parties to be amazing. And we have had the best wrap-up parties over the last 25 years.
Yeah, I think some of the behind-the-scenes staff, Larry in particular, are still pretty much hungover from the very first party that they had.
I have a few stories about Larry too, but again, not for open forum.
For the after party when we're not recording exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, the social side of things, I've only come in over the last few years, and that family atmosphere that you've created, to your credit, the social aspect, the way that everyone's embraced into the company is definitely everything that makes this special and unique. And that was really my final question to you before we wrap things up about the future. You already touched upon it a little bit in your last answer, but as we perhaps look to jump from 25 years to 50 years with SoccerX still going strong through the pandemic, how do you see SoccerX changing over the next 25 years?
I think it's going to get bigger and better, because I think what we've managed to do during the pandemic is to stabilize our platform. We've stabilized who we are, and what we do. And this has been very much down to the present team involved, because it was a tough year. And I think what we've done in the pandemic is going to take us to the next level. And that's, for me, so exciting. And I'm so proud of everybody that works for us now and previously, I have to say. All the team, we have been so lucky, and that's been in the heart of everything for us. It's the fact that we have a family which is inbuilt football family, built from Duncan, who came from a football family, who watched his dad, moved Leeds United from, I think they were maybe third, second division to the first. Watched his dad do it daily, learned from his dad, and he projected that into what we did for 25 years. And I'm very, very proud of that.
So just to finish with then, describe SoccerX, if you can, across the last 25 years in just 5 words. I know it's difficult. It can be a short sentence, or it can be 5 completely different adjectives that to you just associate SoccerX with.
Well, I think the first one has to be inaugural, because I think we were the first. We are the best still, and we are probably the most well known. So that's with the first word. Interactive is probably another word, because that's what it's all about here. It's about networking, and the interaction between our clients and our staff with our clients, and just the football world interacting. Global, because obviously that was mine and Duncan's wish. And yeah, we are, and that's fantastic. And then I think I have to throw in there fun, because I think it has been fun. When is that? That's 4. It has been fun. It has really been fun for everybody, and is part of the makeup of the whole event. Another one probably is, well, it's original. I suppose that's maybe repeating myself a little, but we are original. We are the beginning. We were the first. Yeah, amazing. I could use loads and loads and loads of adjectives, but yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I'll give you the sixth word, amazing, because it's a great way to end. SoccerX is amazing, and so are you, Rita. Really good catching up. Keep up the good work. Enjoy the 25th anniversary, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you.
Rita Revie, co-founder of SoccerX, as we look back on the 25th anniversary since our first event and to the future as well. Long may SoccerX continue.